Welcome to Pass the Mic, a kind of virtual ceilidh meets poetry slam meets homegrown club gig or something like that. It's going to be a joyous and thought-provoking first foot for 2021. The event is produced by the Scottish Poetry Library as part of the Robert Burns Cultural Programme and supported by the Scottish Government, so a big thanks to all those guys. On the way, poetry from Victoria McNulty, Gilday and Courtney Stoddart, and we've got music from The Girl Who Cried Wolf, Kapil Seshasayee, and Hannah Fisher and Soren Mclean. My name is Vic Galloway. I'm a broadcaster, musician, and author. It is my pleasure to be your MC today. So I think we should just cut to our first guest, who is Kevin Gilday. Kevin, how are you? You well?
I'm good, Vic. Yes, thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm not bad. Lockdown, but aren't we all? Now, you work in lots of different areas. Poetry, obviously, theatre, music, TV, and beyond. Are you just a restless spirit?
Yeah, I just get bored easily, I think. I just want to always try something new and try something different. And also, if I only wrote and performed poetry, then I would have died from poverty by now. So, yeah, it's good to diversify, I think.
Now, it's the big elephant in the room. We're all on Zoom. It would be much better if we were in a room together, hearing you do poetry and play music in front of us rather than digitally. But how has your lockdown and the last year been for you? Obviously, you've put this album out, but have you been creative?
Yeah, I think I've been very, very lucky in terms of still being able to create and still being given opportunities to create while we've been locked down. I also founded a kind of digital writers group for budding poets, which has become a massive thing. So a couple of nights a week I'm online teaching students about how to write poetry, and they've all came together and we've actually got a book coming out next month. So that's been a lovely thing and a beautiful kind of lifeline to connect with all these new individuals, all these new people that I didn't know, and teach them all about poetry and why I love it, and hopefully give them that same passion for it.
Great. Well, that does sound like some kind of silver lining. Let's hear you. What are you going to perform for us today, Kevin?
I thought, sticking with the theme and the kind of the way the night's going, I think I'm going to start with a poem about Scotland and then just a wee funny one to finish off.
Brilliant. Well, it's a pleasure having you here on Pass the Mic. Kevin Gilday, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so like I said, I've got a wee poem about Scotland for you to start off with. Specifically, this is about Scottish identity and a term called Caledonian anti-syzygy. Now, if you've never heard of this before, I don't blame you. It's a kind of academic term, but basically it means that Scottish identity is always kind of split into two. It's always got two binary points that are in opposition, and being Scottish is sometimes kind of existing between the two things. So this is a wee poem about that. It's called My Quantum Scotland. This is not a country. It is a contradiction shaped as a landmass, a polarity carved carelessly into ancient hills, a dual personality imbued into every brick of our grand cities, a wound bound together by a shared history of oppression and the occasional sporting near miss. We are a binary people, a simultaneous society, split personality, two places at once. Because this is a land of Catholics and Protestants, Celtic and Rangers, Glasgow and Edinburgh, Jekyll and Hyde, nationalists and unionists, Remainers and Leavers, yes and no, where the wind howls and the rain lashes and the heather is slightly perturbed. And this explains the listlessness that permeates the rift at the centre of my Caledonian heart, because you birthed me, all misshapen and angry, and here I am, yours truly, and truly yours, my quantum Scotland. Caledonian anti-syzygy. A constantly repeated anomaly, square pegs and round holes, the jigsaw pieces from the other side of the board forced into imperfect union. There are two of us, living side by side, forever in dispute, like warring siblings or fractious neighbours. Because this is a land of highlands and lowlands, landed gentry and slum dwellers, Bearsden and Drumchapel, Beaujolais and Buckfast, cybernats and knawbags, salt and vinegar and salt and sauce, Mogwai and the Proclaimers, no and yes, where the wind howls and the rain lashes and the heather is slightly perturbed. And this explains the listlessness that permeates the rift at the centre of my Caledonian heart, because you birthed me, all misshapen and angry, and here I am, yours truly, and truly yours, my quantum Scotland. How did we get this far? With a fatal injury inflicted in our infancy, the blood trail annotating our journey, the cleaving apart of a society. Open the shortbread tin in the wardrobe, liberate the needle and thread, and stitch these two cloths together until something resembles a nation, where the wind howls and the rain lashes and the heather is slightly perturbed. Thank you. Thank you very much. You've got a great show ahead of you. So many talented artists, so many great individuals coming up. People that I've shared the stage with and have booked before, and you're going to adore them as much as I do. So stay tuned and keep watching. But here's a wee poem to finish off. This is about that awkward situation that occurs when a guy comes round to your house to fix your boiler, and you're not really sure what to say to him. There's a workie in my house, and he's fixing the boiler or something, I'm not too sure. But he wears overalls and boots, just like my dad. There's a workie in my house, and I should probably offer him tea. But that seems offensive. When did we decide that all workies like tea? There's a workie in my house, and I'm watching him work in silence. It got really weird over a minute ago. There's a workie in my house, and he's about my age, so he should really know the score. Follow the rules, mate. Ask me if I saw the game. If I saw the game last night, where that team were rubbish, and the manager will soon be on his way. They spent millions on that guy, and all he does is often dive. At least then I'd have something to say. There's a workie in my house, and I wonder if he judges wallpaper and furniture. Probably no. He'll have seen worse than mine. There's a workie in my house, and he knows all about it. Pipes and stuff. But all I can do is write bad poetry. There's a workie in my house, and I really shouldn't feel this level of angst, existential or otherwise, because he does something useful, just like my dad. Thank you very much. Cheers, everyone.
I think we should move on to some music now. The Girl Who Cried Wolf are a Glasgow-based alt-pop duo of Lauren Gilmore and Audrey Tate. Lauren and Audrey, how are ya?
Good, thank you. Yeah, pleased to be here and relating so much to workies.
Wasn't Kevin amazing?
Yeah.
Start, and
So
I'm looking
good.
forward to some tunes from you guys in just a second as well. Now, I used a very sort of simplistic and maybe lazy description of you, alt pop, whatever that means. What kind of influences go into what you do? I mean, it's obviously melodic, it's obviously rhythmic. I know you, Audrey, for example, from previous bands, including Hector Berserk, which was a hip hop duo. I mean, what goes into your sound?
Yeah, well, it's kind of changed even just over that like 2020 there, because we were really in the start of the like just starting as a band over 2019. We put out a couple of singles, and then the lockdown actually kind of pushed us to work on our own stuff because we couldn't have people in the studio. So we kind of ended up writing in a different way, and getting more involved. As much as like I'm a drummer, we kind of got more in. I got more into like programming and the production, like heavier like production, and we sort of ended up going down a bit of a hip hop route, which was interesting, which neither of us expected, as much as I come from a hip hop band. So yeah, like as much as like I think some of our music is alt pop, and then as you'll see from the set, and some of it is kind of went down more of this kind of hip hop route, and trying to combine like real drums and programmed drums is kind of something that I'm quite into just now, and luckily Lauren writes amazingly over that, so it's good for pushing each other. But yeah, like lockdown was quite interesting because we couldn't be in the space together, so we kind of developed a wee kind of format of like coming in one at a time and adding bits and bobs, and it actually ended up we've kind of continued writing that way for our own stuff. As it ends up being quicker.
Studio writing is quite different from sort of rehearsal room writing when you've got a full band, or when you're sort of jamming things out. When you're actually recording things and putting ideas down, and then someone else is adding on top, it takes a different form, doesn't it? Lauren, I take it you do the majority or all of the lyrics. What are your kind of themes predominantly?
Yeah, well, yeah, just like you said there, Vic, I think the barriers change a lot when you're writing in the studio rather than, so particularly for me, and it's great to be on this bill today because there is a real affinity with spoken word and trying to kind of challenge that and how that fits. I mean, I still feel a little bit undeserving of the rapper title, but I think that, or the MC title, and we've been kind of like toying with that, and just kind of, I think the rhythmic setting of what Audrey creates kind of lends itself to really rhythmic word patterns. So I've been trying to push myself lyrically and in terms of my delivery to something that I would not have had the guts to do in a live, like in a practice room, or thinking about sharing that on a stage. So I've loved that, and I think what lockdown has done creatively, I don't know about everybody else in the bill, but I've felt a little bit more liberated recently to maybe be a bit more outspoken about when things are difficult. Sometimes just calling it difficult and expressing it and putting it somewhere is so much better. So I think at the beginning and like the year before, there was a real kind of fierce female over kind of very kind of trying to go in that sort of empowering route, and I think this last year lyrically has been more exposed and vulnerable and a wee bit more fragile, because actually I think that's what's more universal, particularly right now.
Right. Wow. That's interesting to hear on so many levels. Well, it's lovely having you both here. What tunes are you going to play for us as part of Pass the Mic then?
It was a funny one, wasn't it? Like sort of deciding how we would do this live. Obviously, like Audrey said, a lot of the music is programmed, so we kind of split up in separate booths, and it was really fun to put together a live version. So we're going to play a couple of tunes from our most recent EP, Out of It, so the title track from that, and we're going to play Crutch as well, which we released at the end of last year. And well, yeah, I hope that you enjoy it.
Great. Let's hear you. The Girl Who Cried Wolf here on Pass the Mic. Take it away.
I'm fighting all my darkest parts. I tighten and hope this feeling doesn't last. My arms and eyes are empty. The monster in me's feeling free. stranded on land without a boat to sail. No one said it was okay you took part of me when you left. No one said it was okay you keep changing channels in my head. No one said it was okay that you take a part of me when you bailed. No one said it was okay now I'm trapped without a boat to sail. No one said it was okay. 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 No one. I'm hurting. Take my hand for your curtain call. Lap up the roar, bow for your crowd to thank them all. My arms and eyes are empty. The monster in me's feeling frail. I'm stranded on land without a boat to sail. Can anybody hear me? Hear me? Anybody, buddy, who? Can anybody hear me? Hear me and come to my rescue. Can anybody hear me? Hear me and come to my rescue. Can anybody hear me? Anybody, buddy. This is my mind, get out of it. This is my space, don't touch this mouth is mine, get your words. Step back, don't speak, don't judge. This is my mind, get out of it. Don't call, don't knock, don't buzz. My world makes sense now that you're out of it. There's still me, still you, just not us. This is my mind, get out of it. This is my space, don't touch this mouth is mine, get your words. Step back, don't speak, don't judge. This is my mind, get out of it. Don't call, don't knock, don't buzz. My world makes sense now that you're out of it. There's still me, still you, just not us. This is my mind, get out of it. This is my space, don't touch this mouth is mine, get your words. Step back, don't speak, don't judge. This is my mind, get out of it. Don't call, don't knock, don't buzz. My world makes sense now that you're out of it. There's still me, still you, just not us. Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? No one said it was okay you'd take part of me when you left. No one said it was okay you'd keep changing channels in my head. No one said it was okay that you'd take a part of me when you bailed. No one said it was okay now I'm trapped. This is my mind, get out of it. This is my space, don't touch this mouth is mine, get your words out of it. Step back, don't speak, don't judge. This is my mind, get out of it. Don't call, don't knock, don't buzz. My world makes sense now that you're out of it. There's still me, still you, just not. This is my mind, get out of it. This is my space, don't touch this mouth is mine, get your words out of it. Step back, don't speak, don't judge. This is my mind, get out of it. Don't call, don't knock, don't buzz. My world makes sense now that you're out of it. There's still me, still you, just not us. I don't know how you do it, but I give you so much and you take everything, everything, everything away. I'm a wreck with a face on using you as a crutch. Feeling anything ends up just going to waste. Come with me down, down to the bottom of the pile. I'll be sitting pretty, painting on a smile. You tell me all the things I want to hear, but when my back's against the rope, you start to whisper in my ear. You'll never be good enough, you'll never be strong enough. Baby, just give it up. I think you're done, done, done. You'll never be this enough, you'll never be them enough. Baby, there's no one who cares enough. You're on your own, I don't know how you do it, but I give you so much and you take everything, everything, everything away. I'm a wreck with a face on using you as a crutch. Feeling anything ends up just going to waste. In my head is where you made a bed but never go to sleep. Instead you dance around my dreams. Everything you say, it takes a space inside my brain. A messy party that no one wants to leave. You'll never be this enough, you'll never be them enough. There's no one who cares enough. You're on your own. Take another piece of me if that's what you desire. Take all that you want from me. I swear I'm still on fire. Take another piece of me if that's what you desire. going to waste.
Thanks very much to the girl who cried wolf there. Some great songs, and lovely chatting to Lauren and Audrey as well. Thank you, folks. Okay, let's have some more spoken words and meet a Scottish Caribbean poet and performer from Edinburgh, Courtney Stoddart. Courtney, lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Well, I was going to ask you about the BLM and so on. And although it's under horrific circumstances, you must have been quite sort of, I don't know, enthused by the global response to what happened and Black Lives Matter movement happening across the globe.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been a long time coming, and I think anybody who's kind of racialized as Black in this world kind of had a more of an awareness that this needed to happen, kind of thing. But I think there's definitely been a real shift in consciousness, which, yeah, I think it's positive. Definitely, just have to see where it takes us.
Yeah. How did you help, and how were you involved in Edinburgh?
So I performed at the Black Lives Matter protest in Edinburgh, and then from there I did performed at the one in Dunfermline and in Fife as well. Sorry, no, not Dunfermline, Dundee and Fife. So and they're all in quite quick succession after one another. So yeah, it was a lot of energy, but very, very necessary. So.
Absolutely. Well, tell us about some of the themes within your work, because you concentrate on racism, imperialism, and also being a woman and growing up in Scotland. What kind of subjects do you like to tackle in your poetry?
I mean, I do tackle some of my own sort of personal experiences of racism, but definitely more on a global scale as well. This sort of, I think we have this viewpoint that colonialism is a thing of the past, but it's very much still going on today. The same systems which caused the transatlantic slave trade are still colonizing many other parts of the world now, and you know, we're all ingrained with this sort of imperial ideology. So yeah, I really write to sort of try and disrupt that in whatever way I can.
Mm-hmm. And what do you have sort of planned for 2021 if things open up a little bit and beyond? Have you got, you know, anything to be published or events coming up?
Yeah, well, I've just been I don't know if I say I won the award. I don't think that's the right word, but I've been the recipient maybe of the Ignite Award with the Scottish Book Trust, and so I kind of want to work towards publishing my first pamphlet. So yeah, that's my main plan, really.
Well, it's exciting stuff and lovely to have you on board for this event as well. What are you going to perform for us today?
So this is Black History. What does Black history mean? Black history is more than mythology and dreams, more than Wakanda memes. Black history is everybody's history, and it seems our world is ripping, tearing at the seams. Can we conceive of alternative reality? Why do we aspire to riches and royalty? We do not need kings and queens, we need revolutionaries. Before slavery, most of us were farmers, storytellers, mystics, and fishermen. Some of us were seers, dreamers, liars, and wicked men. Some of us did ill deeds, and some of us planted seeds. Some died for truth, and some killed for lies, and some of us were masterminds, never recognized. There were those who were model and those who would kill from their own sense of sorrow. Some would beg and some would borrow, and there were teachers, there were painters, there were lovers, and there were haters. There were printmakers, musicians, and critical thinkers, alcohol drinkers. There were saints and there were sinners, and that's what binds us all. We are all flawed, just as we are all full of infinite potential. Our history is not merely consequential. We have been torn down and we've got back up. Some of us have been stuck, feet sinking into mud, and some of us too soft, and some of us too rough, and some of us so hard we won't let in the love. And see, this system that we have built and envisioned is underpinned by exploitation. So why do we want to emulate the wealth that they have already taken? The corporate media tell you that immigration is something new, but migration is one of the main things that humans do, and corporations go unchecked. They've got a lot to answer for. They're fostering perma-war while we worship celebrities and our appearance over all. And while we like to call it civil, there's no civility in war. People come here seeking refuge, and we show them our closed door, watch their bodies wash ashore. And though publicly we may deplore all wars, it was likely the UK who sold the bombs which hit the floor, perpetually permeating the idea of eternal war. And while they're profiting exponentially, there is no wisdom within war. We forget wealth is not material. It is your integrity and the kindness in your soul. So please, as you grow, don't let it go. Build community, not fake stakes in capital, because when the sun shines, she shines upon us all. You may feel invisible, but visibility does not equal worth. We should not have to fight for our place upon this earth. And remember, your imagination is far more powerful than a rational man's dictation. The banks push inflation until the camel's back is breaking, but we the people are stronger than any nation of all colors and creeds. We were revolutionaries. We were the birds and the bees, the leaves to the trees. Some of us fought against harsh regimes, and there were those who cured disease, and some devoted their lives to religion. Some of us bore children, and some of us were hell-bent, intent on creating division. And today we're sold lies through the television. The imperialist system has swaddled us in materialism, and we fail to question the human condition. We follow the vision of those who cannot see. But we were the heights of glory and the depths of the deepest seas. We were the fair traders and the thieves, loving fathers, mothers, and we were the priests who would deceive. Some of us were cooks, and some of us were cleaners, and some of us had minor misdemeanors, and some of us were prophets, and some of us were university teachers and avid readers, and some of us revered the orishas, and some of us worshipped animals and creatures, and some of us were poets, writers, and healers. So we don't need to be. We don't need to be kings and queens. Let us see the beauty in being revolutionaries beyond all means. Dreams, reap and sow them at the seams, and best believe we will be what we were born to be, to love freely, fulfill our destiny. Because see, those who composed Black history, they were people just like you and me. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, this may be a digital event on Zoom and so on, but the power of the words, hits home, wherever you are with poems that immense. So thank you so much, Courtney. Wonderful poetry here on Pass the Mic. Let's move on to some more music now. And a duo I've not seen for a wee while, Hannah Fisher and Soren Mclean. Lovely to see you folks. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
We're good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, very good. Enjoying the show so far, and looking forward to some tunes from you guys. Where are you? Are you on the Isle of Mull just now?
Yeah, we're on the Isle of Mull in the living room at the moment with Rudy the cat. He's joined us as well.
Okay, good. Shout out to Rudy the cat. Tell us a little bit about island life. I mean, in some ways, the best place to be during the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown, right?
Yeah, well, I've definitely felt a little bit guilty about.
Really?
I think we both have.
Yeah.
We've obviously got a lot of friends who have been for the past year or so been kind of or felt cooped up in a small flat in Glasgow or Edinburgh or wherever. But it has been very, I don't know. We're very thankful to be here, and we can obviously get outside and go to a beach and not see anyone, but it doesn't mean that we have, it has affected us here too. It's not life as normal.
Yeah, of course. How does, just in general, living on Mull, how does the pace of life affect your music, whether it be the writing or rehearsing or even listening to music?
I mean, it's I like the kind of contrast between, or normally we're away touring for probably about half the year, so we're in kind of really busy cities and stuff, and then we come back here and it's completely the opposite, and it's like 90-mile-an-hour winds and pouring down with rain, and you can just about get out the door. But I love the sort of the contrast of it and the sort of total clear slate when you're here. Sometimes to not play guitar at all for a few days when you get home, so you like reset and get into the sort of island pace. But creative wise, I don't know, we've got a wee kind of set up here to do remote recording for people and for writing as well. So we kind of do that. There's no time restrictions. We can make an absolute racket here if we want to, which is quite good.
It does make things like rehearsing a bit difficult though, because we're predominantly session musicians, and when we first moved here, we moved from Glasgow, and it was almost an experiment to see how that worked. And now we're seeing a lot of our friends kind of wanting to get out of the city again, and a lot of them have been asking for advice in terms of how that works. But it just becomes a commute, and we can work from wherever. You know, if you're going on tour for 3 weeks, it doesn't really matter where you're leaving from.
We're really pleased to have you both performing for us. What are you going to play as part of Pass the Mic today? Tell us which tunes you're doing.
So a lot of you'll know this song. It's called Loretta, and then we'll finish off with just a little set of tunes, just to kind of blend everything in together.
Well, it's lovely chatting to you. Let's hear some music from Hannah Fisher and Soren Mclean.
So we're gonna carry on with a cover now by a great singer-songwriter, one of our favourites, called Townes Van Zandt, and the song is called Loretta, and it's a love song.
Features Rudy the Cat on backing vocals.
Dances like a diamond shines and tells me lies I love to believe. Her age is always 22, laughing eyes are usual. Spends my money like a waterfall, so it loves me like I wanted to. Loves me like I wanted to. And play a blue and wailing song. My guitar rings a melody, my guitar sings a red is fine. Long and lazy, blonde and free, and I can have her anytime. I can have her anytime. Sweetest at the break of day and prettiest in the setting sun. She don't cry when I can't stay, at least not until she's alone. Loretta, I won't be gone long. Keep your dancing slippers on. Keep me on your mind a while, and I'll be back to make you smile. I'll be back, baby, to make you smile.
Thank you. So we're going to finish off with just a little set of tunes now. The first tune is one that I've written, and then we're going to just add on a couple of little Irish tunes to the end there for our friends in Ireland. Feel free to have a little dance around your living room. Okay.
A huge thank you to Hannah and Soren, and some great music from those guys recorded out on the Isle of Mull. Oh, to be there at the moment. I'm Vic Galloway. This is Pass the Mic. Remember, we've got more music on the way from Kapil Seshasayee to finish up today's event. But right now, we cross over to some more poetry and spoken word from a Glasgow poet and performer, Victoria McNulty. Victoria, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, getting by. You know, in my own house, doing my own thing. How are you? Where are you? I take it you're in your house as well in Glasgow.
I am in Glasgow. Aye.
Tell us a bit about your work then. Did you read other people's poetry? Were you inspired by Burns or anyone contemporary?
Contemporary, probably not, if I'm honest. I read a lot of kind of older poetry. Probably the most contemporary thing I liked was like Seamus Heaney. I was very into him sort of growing up. He influenced a lot of my writing, just that idea that you could almost write about the mundane but do it beautifully. and do it politically as well. So yeah, and then like stuff like I like Sylvia Plath, lots of sort of war poetry and things in school. But yeah, no, I wasn't really aware of spoken word really until I started performing it, and then I kind of went from there. It kind of seemed like a good platform for me, and I enjoyed the performance aspect of that.
You're a big 90s indie fan as well. Oasis or Blur?
Oasis every time, man. Sorry. Sorry. No even debating it.
All right, okay. Well, let's just settle on Supergrass and then no one gets offended. Yeah, so lockdown, the big elephant in the room. How was it for you? Have you been able to sit and write a lot? I know you're a mum as well. Has that sort of taken up a lot of your time? Have you had to do homeschooling and so on?
Yeah, I have had to do homeschooling and then all that home entertaining of children that you don't really realise you've got to do until they're in your house for 24 hours a day. Then you're like, primary teachers, hat off to you. But I also, before lockdown, I was working like a full-time day job. I'm not now, and although that was a really big adjustment to me, I actually revelled in having the peace to create stuff and write things and just be artistic, because I didn't always have that time. So yeah, no, I did during lockdown. I started writing for different publications, writing performance pieces, writing just to write. You know, I found it quite a good time.
Well, it's a pleasure having you here. Thank you very much, Victoria McNulty.
Well, thank you. So the next piece I'm going to do is kind of untitled. It's a longer piece, and I really kind of got influenced by that idea how lockdown sort of affected the kind of human connections that people make, and it's kind of loosely based on a part of the Ulster cycles about Nisha and Deirdre. These weird rabbit holes you go down when you've got nothing better to do but like read obscure mythology. You know, it's a Glasgow spectacle when Mad Dog draws your fags, rags, a trackies, lag, gawp, flycatch, mouse, lining the summer streets agaze at the Great Duke Street tire blaze. A ladder goes up, water cascading for an extended hose, smoke billowing for the rubber below. There's a cavalcade of mobile phones, Wayne sitting cross-legged in the grass screaming, "Mammy, can we go home?" A boyfriend and girlfriend entwine, Iris and rage. Some skeleton stoats back by oblivious in his Valium days. There's always some plank for Denniston with a zoom lens in there somewhere. A woman in slippers. A teenager barefoot. The guy for the kebab shop seeks shelter, sucking rollies under lamplight suit. A black helicopter scans for damage above. Some Egypt scoots past in a dune buggy, and the Polish yells croaky. It's no safe. Gonna just go home. We need to get entertainment where we find it these days. But fair play. Joanna Dees now lives to see another day. But Nisha, in the Crimson Dawn shake he ran, Come On Die Young sprayed by aluminium cans, a Molotov bottle smashed at daybreak. There's a bin spill by an old cotton mill, the tick-tock of a clock set fast, a mask-clad Sunday mass spreads a red flag, flaps the flyover at morning wake. And at dawn she poured him out himself this neck-tight sweat break, and he sat bare-backed in Clyde-Maid, and he cried his city a heartache. And it'll be plundered as we slumber here, with silent spies lying everywhere around us. But on weekends we wax this bubble house, soft tumbles under fluffed up covers, lips and joy lines, a pure squint through half-moon lashes, light ascending the curtain crack. We marched through graves, prayed at empty picket lines, Magdalene whiskey bonds sat scattered in the Glasgow skyline. We genuflected a ridry Jesus carved for stone at a bingo hall. We stood tall where weavers wept, musket fire higher, sounding silent still in the soundscape. We blessed dead birds at an abattoir, danger by the blue and red bunting, neck hung in rosary with every scuttled step. Where every hand held and stolen kiss is wrong, and every scattered sheet smokes that loaded gun, and every human connection is crucible forbidden. Now we can never reclaim this time, so not acrylic fingers in mine, head arrest to beating chest, heed how this city gossips for the motorway. And she's no the only grass who's whispering. But I dreamt we were in the Gaeltacht, wet wax hoods over windswept heads, peat intense, nostrils crept, cheeks embered. We climbed a whitewashed steps and slept a wooden chair and a cotton bed. I dreamt we were in the Gaeltacht, perched on dune-built sands, a spark of light nicotine drawn fae pink knobbled hands, and the sun burned orange on skin where it lands. Just us, some cans, in the Atlantic. And my mothers, they hobbled on board, they left their tongues on these ivory shores, the hidden past lives and forgotten lores. They chored 9 days a week in this city, concrete. In this city, she reeks of the dead, and the walls are closing in, and there's no promise left. It's filmed on every camera, on every close end. And I no longer love her. So maybe it is time to go home. Thank you. So the last poem I'm going to do is, I'm just going to stick with that, this idea of migration that Courtney was talking about, and the idea of home. 1,000 floods could have burst the banks of the Clyde each day of 1848, had it not been of people. The undead sailed in coffins for Derry, Irish fever spilled for the foil to boil the banks with typhoid, and then the young scratched with fleas for starving rats to be sacked and abandoned in Scotland's slums. And they were feared, and they were greeted by no one. When my family arrived in Glasgow, they didn't flee famine but civil war. Their Gaeltacht was already black with Angorta Moor. Their names were warning signs on windows. Then no work or trade gave way to forgotten faiths and altered names, and just tags: Tarrier, terrorist, and Taig. But coffins are not made of mahogany today. They're tarpaulin and waves, not Kilkenny's mass graves, but the beds of the Aegean Sea. The road from Damascus stacked with similarities even Saul could see. Flotsam children lined beaches, their flesh all bloated and grey with typhus. Their parents' skeleton faces lined security gates and fences, and wires poked with frail famine hands, and lips stitched and stomach pitted as Joe McDonnell or Bobby Sands. Then they want me to say that they're not like us. They don't belong like us. I can never forget how my Scotland is cut from refugees, and how I'm privileged because my sisters made that journey for me. So as a child I watched from couch and TV, miles from pipe bombs and peace walls, and I will not fall silent. I'll stand tall, and I'll stand proud, and I'll stand in solidarity with the displaced peoples now residing in Scotland. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Really powerful words there. Brilliant poems. Thank you so much for being involved in Pass the Mic. Okay, our last act, our final performer, Kapil Seshasayee. Welcome to the programme.
Hi there, Vic. How are you?
It is a programme, isn't it, Kapil?
I'd call it a programme if nothing else.
How are you anyway? How's things going? How has your lockdown been then? Have you been busy and creative? You're a busy man usually.
I mean, yeah, busy is a bit of an understatement. I had a really busy 2020. The long and short of it is, due to the politics of my music, I was used to going online and finding an audience that way a long time ago anyway. So I merely did more of that in 2020. And I was very lucky that where South by Southwest and Canadian Music Week all got cancelled, White Days pulled through, and me and my live band did a socially distanced showcase in Leith Theatre, just like an empty theatre. And off the back of that, loads of opportunities came through, and was busy working on my next record, which will drop in September of this year. Maybe about 70-80% of my time is just me and my producer, who's based in Edinburgh, near where you are, and just basically trying to make all the moving parts work, but adhering to the guidelines and the restrictions at the same time, which you can imagine is a massive challenge, but not an insurmountable one, if I'm being frank.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard lots of political points of view during the event today. Why is it so important to fuse kind of music and activism to you?
I think it depends. For some people, the tool they use is a pen. For other people, it's visual media. I'm a visual artist myself, but music's my tool for not just telling a story, but starting a discussion. If I was to be pretentious about it, I'd describe my tunes as almost sonic essays more than like tunes where I've written down a bunch of thoughts and then worked them into lyrics. I need to know what I'm saying and the way in which I'm saying it. I spend a long time poring over my lyrical content and basically making sure that at the end of it, I'm saying I've set out to say something specific and that I've got that point across. There's a tune on my next record which took 18 months to write, and there's not even that many lyrics, but wanting to get the message right was so important to me. Not as an artist, but to respect the narrative of what I'm trying to get across as well.
Okay, well, once again, thanks for being involved in today's event. What are you going to play for us?
Well, speaking of singles, I'm gonna play two of them on this stream. I'm gonna play my last single, The Gariel, which is an essay about nationalism in Bollywood period cinema. I'm going to play The Pink Mirror, which is named for a film by queer filmmaker Shiga Rangayan that remains banned in India to this day and talks about censorship of LGBTQ voices in Indian cinema.
It's always exciting chatting to you and hearing your music as well. Kapil Seshasayee here on Pass the Mic.
Thank you.
The final pick, another tenet of a speech I gave, only ever in a bit to play along. Well, consider it done. I desire to move on, redesign all my wants. Now instead of any perversity, note that you and I beholden to me. Your faith instructs, rest the better interrupt my thoughts. Another sign of things to come, reconsider your tone. I desire to move on, redesign all my wants. Now instead of any perversity, note that you and I beholden to me. Came alone.
As ever, brilliant stuff from Kapil Seshasayee here on Pass the Mic. Unique and amazing music. Search out A Sacred Boar and look for those new singles as well. Now, before we all go our separate ways, I want to say a few thank yous. First and foremost, thank you to Hannah Lavery for everything. Basically, she organised the whole thing, pulled it all together. So massive thank you to Hannah. Thank you to Lee Richardson for all the video production. Big up yourself, Lee. Thank you. Obviously, the Scottish Poetry Library for producing the event and the Scottish Government for supporting the event. Thank you to everyone. But most importantly, thank you to our performers. Kevin Gilday, The Girl Who Cried Wolf, Courtney Stoddart, Hannah Fisher and Soren Mclean, Victoria McNulty, and you've just heard him, Kapil Sesha. My name is Vic Galloway. Check out my radio shows and my band when you can. Find everyone who's performed for you today on social media. Buy their records, buy their volumes of poetry, and support them where and when you can. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being involved in Pass the Mic. I wish you all a great day, a great evening, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and goodbye.